Welcome to Backyard OASIS, a podcast designed by and for older adults living in the beautiful Pioneer Valley of Western Massachusetts and produced in the tech studios at Greenfield Community College in Greenfield, Massachusetts.
Hi, I'm Denise Schwartz, your host. For more than 125 years, women in two towns in Western Massachusetts have been meeting on both sides of the river. Sunderland, formerly known as Swampfield, on the east side, and Deerfield on the west. The grand Connecticut River flowed between them, a natural division, not one created by the townspeople themselves. Even so, the ladies in both towns did not regularly talk. Still, word got through to the Deerfield women that the Sunderland women had done something quite good, and they, the Deerfielders, met to talk about it. The Sunderlanders had formed a women's club, and the ladies on the other side of the river, apparently a competitive but friendly bunch, did not want to be outdone by their neighbors. And so soon, both towns had organized their own women's clubs, and those clubs, started in the late 1800s, exist and thrive today. My guest is Brenda Wozniakewicz. She's the current president of the Sunderland Women's Club. We're going to hear about that club today, and yes, in another episode, we'll talk with women from the Deerfield Women's Club because even though the mighty Connecticut River still flows between their two towns, a bright blue bridge joins them now. Both clubs enjoy a neighborly relationship and work separately to bring social activities to their members and service to their communities. Hello, Brenda.
Hi, Denise.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, before we talk to you about all of the great things the Women's Club has done over the years and why it's still important for women to be in clubs, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Women's Club movement in America, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the Women's Club movement began in about the mid-19th century. It evolved into a significant social force that addressed various social issues and contributed to women's rights. It established the idea that women had a moral duty and responsibility to transform public policy. The first wave of the club movement was started by white, middle-class Protestant women, and a second phase was led by African American women. Most clubs started out as social literary gatherings. Eventually, they became a source of reform. Both African American and white women's clubs were involved with issues surrounding education, temperance, child labor, juvenile justice, legal reform, environmental protection, library creation, and more. Women's clubs helped start many initiatives, such as kindergartens and juvenile court systems. Later, the clubs tackled issues like women's suffrage, lynching, and family planning. The clubs allowed women who had little political standing at the time to gain greater influence in their communities. But as women gained more rights, the need for clubs to exercise their political and social influence became less important. Over time, participation in the women's clubs waned a bit. However, many clubs still continue to operate and influence their communities. And that's us, right, Brenda?
That's right.
Our clubs are still going pretty strong.
They are.
So I thought it would be really important for you to tell us a little bit about how you feel about your club now, your club president. And the question is, why?
In 2013, I'll go back a little bit and tell how I got involved in it and why. But in 2013, my kids had grown up, they were moving out, and I needed to have a social life that actually meant something.
Okay.
And I finally had a chance, the time, to join the Sunderland Women's Club. And one of the neighbors down the road asked if I wanted to join, and I of course wanted to. We got involved immediately in community service projects and that kind of stuff. And at that time, the club was going through a few growing pains, which I think a lot of clubs do now,
Right.
with, the workforce of women
Yeah, right.
not having the time. to devote to these kinds of things. So shortly, I wasn't a member very long before they asked me to become president. First time.
Isn't that funny how that goes?
Yes,
I know.
yes.
I'm on the board of our club, and this is my 5th year.
And I really felt like my time as president was a bit disastrous. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of flying, so to speak, by the seat of my pants and that. And there were women who had left at that point who were really the anchors of the club. And so then, I ended on my 2 years as president, which were only allowed 2 years.
That's changed in our club.
I can see it may in the future change in our club.
Sure.
We've had some extend because nobody's picking up. They just don't have the time to devote to it. And then COVID hit.
Right.
Which really did a number on our club, and I'm sure every other club that met in person. But the girls worked hard to keep things going on Zoom and so on. But I do think it's really important now as we're coming back into the gatherings in person. We've been doing it now for a couple of years. We take on, most of our projects are with children.
Are they? Okay.
We... and I'll go back to what they used to do because right now,
do that. Yeah.
Right now, what we do is we provide snacks and that kind of things for the elementary school to subsidize lunches or whatever. We do donate to the Amherst Survival Center, and we also have donated to We Soldier On.
Oh yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So we try to help out groups that just need an extra little hand to do things in that. And usually, once in a while, somebody will come along with something new. Can we donate to this, or can we, which is always great because we like to know. But I do think with all the services that are provided through the government and stuff now, our needs aren't quite like they used to be. You don't feel like you're making quite that impact.
That's a good point.
We keep working and we keep coming and hoping that people come to us, and they do. When they, sometimes a kid may need help with Nature's Classroom, paying for that.
We all did that.
Yep, so we do that. But we always encourage people to let us know if they need our help.
And they do. They let us know, too. Mm-hmm. So why don't we talk a little bit about what the club has done in the past? And we can then see how things have changed.
Right? To lay a little framework here, our club was founded on November 3rd, 1894, with 15 members.
1894.
Yeah. And it was mostly, like you said before, literature, socializing, and that. But this was actually very interesting. It was a afternoon meeting.
Oh.
You had to be invited to be in the club.
I remember reading that.
And it was a white glove hat affair in the afternoon, tea.
Can you imagine?
Right. And so they would have meetings in the afternoon, and one of the first things, and I remember this woman, Linda Lopatka, who was a big historian of our club, did a program for us at a meeting one day. And for some reason, it stuck with me because I just found it really kind of funny, kind of interesting. The group got discussing how they didn't like how dusty their houses were in the summer. Okay. Their windows were open. There was dust on their shelves. And
why?
And
the roads weren't paved.
Right, exactly. The roads were dirt roads. So one of their projects was getting the roads oiled.
Really?
To bring down the dust.
I think that's wonderful.
So I just found that fascinating. And then in going through a lot of our archives, which, by the way, are in boxes up in the attic of our town hall, there's more than I could have imagined until I opened the boxes, and it's like, wow. But they also paid to have the 2 street lights in town on.
And did they do that by having fundraisers? What did they do?
They did do
bake sales.
Well, and they could do, back then, their fundraisers were elaborate. I mean, they did big things because it was the town, and it brought everybody together. So they had a New Year's Eve reception. They had gentlemen's nights.
What's that?
It sounds like it was like a ball. It was actually covered by the press.
Really?
They said it was brilliant and gorgeous, according to the press.
Wow.
So you can just imagine this ball with long dresses and the men all dressed up and that. They did rummage sales. They did. They had bake sales, but it was to another whole level.
What do you mean?
When we have bake sales, you get your brownies, your cookies,
Yeah.
your usuals. They would bake pies and cakes and, but that's what,
That's what women were doing then.
yeah, and canning,
Oh, my
that kind of
gosh.
thing. So, and so they made really big money for the times, where we do okay with bake sales, but it doesn't have the impact that I
Right.
think they did back then.
Right.
And then they would put it towards whatever the town needed, or
I wonder, can you imagine? The town was happy to have this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Did the town look at the club as a partner in doing these kinds of things that would help the town? Because I'm not sure that that's really how our towns look at women's clubs today. I think they know we're there, but I don't think they think of us as really being partners in fixing things that need to be fixed.
and my view on that is that is a whole kind of social move. Women I think they appreciated it. I don't know how they actually looked at them as partners or whatever, but they knew how to operate very coy
Oh.
to get things done.
Oh.
And there were, don't get me wrong, there were some that just were like, this is what we need. And I know a few of those women, and they would just get it done. And I think the men were happy to have them do it sometimes because they were busy working or whatever. And who wouldn't want an oiled road or lights on at night?
I mean, I think that's actually brilliant.
I know.
The roads are dusty. We don't like this. We have to dust all the time. We need to fix this, ladies. So let's raise some funds and ask the town to oil this road.
Right.
If only it was that simple now.
I know. It seems like a much more gentler,
Yes.
romanticized type of times for people where you could make a big impact. I think we have impacts now, but they're not those grand gesture impacts anymore, because I just don't think those opportunities are there anymore.
Well, also, it's so hard to make large projects work when so many people don't really want to talk with each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, the times aren't there to help us cooperate too much.
Well, and I think in our town anyway, I think what you're seeing a lot of is we have a transient population of people. We live so near these colleges.
Oh, because of the university, right.
And, it used to be families. And even I know many of us, our kids grow up, move away for jobs or just a different type of lifestyle. So you don't have that deep rootedness that you had at one
right.
time, where all the families got together.
And then they knew each other, and the towns were smaller, the populations were a bit smaller.
Right.
So they all knew each other. I mean, I like that idea that when it was like that, I remember reading that women's clubs, and you brought this up, had to invite members, and it was a real honor if you were invited.
Yes.
And daughters couldn't wait to grow up until they
Exactly.
could join their moms in women's clubs. Times have changed, though. We have so many more opportunities than the women in the late 1800s had. So do you think that was a factor in changing how we are? The social movements of the 70s where women got more rights and they got into the workforce and just maybe didn't feel that women's clubs were as valid. Everything has a cycle.
It does. And you're right. It's not just the women's club, because we've had other people come to our club to speak.
Sure.
And, it was sad a couple of times where we only had 10 members at the meeting.
Right.
And you felt bad for the guest. And one of them said to us, he goes, "Don't worry about it. Everybody's going through this."
Everybody's going through it.
So it made
It's true.
it
All
made us
kinds of
feel a little,
clubs.
it's just making commitments. I think there's just so much going on in the world now that times they're busy. They move fast, and I don't think that helps. So, we try to, I don't want to say sell, but we try to sell our club as
Sure.
a time to sit, a time to visit, to bring it back a little bit to more more social interaction
Right.
in person.
Get to know each other a little
Right,
better.
right.
You know, that's what the traditions were. When you say that they had teas, I remember our club. I don't want to talk about our club because we're going to be doing that another episode, but I want to talk about your club. I know you talked about your club having teas. We still have the silver tea set that our club used at meetings.
Wow.
I mean, that's real different from what we do now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we do want to have a little more of that. Every once in a while, somebody on our program committee will say, why don't we do something, get that tea set out again, and maybe we'll have a different kind of meeting. Maybe things are coming back to that.
I think they are. It's funny you said that because our club 3 years ago, I believe it was, decided that our opening meeting in September, we wanted to do a kind of an old-fashioned tea to welcome everybody back for the year, because our meetings are from September to April.
Yes.
And one of the girls in the club, Elaine Fuqua, her mother had saved a ton of teacups and saucers, and she brought them all and put them out. It was a beautiful table with all the teacups, and we got together for a Saturday morning brunch with the teacups, and it was just really fun.
Was that at somebody's house?
No, that was at the library.
Oh, you went to,
we have our
nice.
meetings at the library because it's a big in the social room.
It's a
I believe
beautiful
they call it.
room. Plus, the women's club's history is working to create libraries and to support libraries from way, way, way back. So
Correct.
it's nice to have your meetings there.
Yes, it is. So we have that tea, to start off the year. I know our program committee has worked really hard to get exciting new programs to bring people in.
Right.
And they've done a great job over the last few years. Our club, right now, we have 54 members in our program booklet.
Right.
Usually there's 20 to 30 really active ones. But our meetings have shown anywhere an average of 20 to 30 people coming, which is huge.
That's really good.
And a real compliment to the program committee and that. But before, going back to what we were talking about, things we did too, two of our members, in 1927, it's funny, talk about social movements,
Right.
The club had joined the state federation.
Mm-hmm.
And two of our members actually became presidents at a time.
At the state level?
At the state level, which actually Sunderland's Women's Club had won a few awards for membership and involvement in that. But one of them was Frances Clark, and I guess it sounded like they had to have themes. When you were president, you had to have a theme of what you were going to work on.
Oh, I hope we
as
don't have to go
presidency.
back to that.
But hers, which I found really interesting, she was big into the arts, which we now have a scholarship in her name for students going on in the arts. But her theme was today's best is tomorrow's beginning.
Well,
And I thought, that's really fascinating. I really like that. And then we had Mary Warner, who promoted childhood education, and her theme was more invest in the future. And she lived what she said because she helped establish 2 elementary schools in Peru.
wow.
She was a very strong, ambitious woman that had a lot of respect. You never heard anything but good things about Mary and all the work she always did.
What time frame are we talking about when she was involved?
To be honest, I can't tell you. She just passed away a few years ago.
So this
90s.
was- okay.
She was a very interesting woman. Everybody loved visiting with Mary, and she had a lot of really good ideas and was always very supportive of the women's club, even when she couldn't attend meetings anymore and that. So looking at women like her is what kind of inspires me to want to do more with the club.
No, what did you do? You just had your anniversary, as did we. Were you involved with that?
The anniversary, we actually didn't do a whole lot. That was the start of the tea. It was also the start of really digging into programs and making it more appealing to people to want to really come to the meetings. They have to be, you have to have really good programs to want to come out in the winter nights.
Oh, January, that's the tough month, I know.
But like I said, we had great programs that brought out a lot more people.
So as president, what were some of the things that you have tried to do?
My biggest thing, and just a little bit, when the town had its 300, I with my husband, chaired the parade and the after festival. And my biggest thing, and I will be a cheerleader
I can
to
tell.
get anything going. And my big thing for that was I just wanted people to come back to Sunderland and treat it like a reunion in that. And we had great committees that worked on that kind of stuff, and we had one of the best turnouts, I think, anyway. And at the end of the day, I had said to my husband, I just want to walk away from this and say, this was a really good day. And I did. And so I look at that, and that's what I want to bring to the Women's Club more.
Okay.
And so right now, what I'm trying to do, we have a lot of really great women in the club who don't boast their worth or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hear about Mary Warner, who we all adored and respect, and Frances Clark, and those women who started it. And it's like, you know what? But we're in a new era. Let's start hearing new names. Let's hear your stories. And there's a lot of really neat stories from the women in the club. So it was my initiative. So I want to do a book. I want to put a book together of the women telling their stories, where they came from, why they wanted to join, because we need our time in the archives.
I agree.
And it's interesting because, as obviously you can tell, I don't hold back. I'm a talker.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing the people who really are very bashful about telling their story.
They are.
And so trying to encourage them. I mean, I've heard some great ones, and it's like, will you please write that?
Yeah.
That's got to be part of our stories.
And have you gotten some members to do that?
I have, right at the moment, I have 13 stories. I just heard one of the other women got in touch with me and said she's going to work on it. I had a deadline initially because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to learn to pull back a little bit because it's like, you know what, it's not a deadline. It's not a race. I would rather have more stories and let it go a little bit longer than to put a deadline on it
That makes sense.
and hold other people back from doing it. But yeah, I've seen some really good stories, and I love reading them because it's like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
We don't know that much about each other. We talk about that all the time.
Right.
And can I make a point? I don't want you to stop talking about this because it's a great project. We've talked about it in our club too, and I find that people are reluctant to write their stories. Mm-hmm. But when we had our club's 125th anniversary, you had yours. One of the members and we went to the Pecumtuck Valley Memorial Association, where there is a whole, I think, 2 or 3 boxes of data about the history of the club. And we saw the women's names, we do this book every year, our yearbook, and here it has all of you have the same one, our founding members, and there they are, Julia Vale Arms, Ellen Billings. We're looking at all these founding charter members from 1897. And what do we do? Well, let's Google them. There was nothing because women took their husbands' names. So we found not a lot, but we found some information about the men.
Well, did you also find what I found interesting when I started looking through the book? Mrs. So-and-so.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. So-and-so,
and
right.
Mrs., the husband's name. And her last name. It's like, I'm sorry, what's her name?
Yeah, right. I know. You are absolutely right. And that's how we listed them at first. I think we still do when we look at our founding members. Oh, yeah, look, our past presidents. Mrs. Lucius Harris, Mrs. Alonzo Rice. You're right. We need our own identities out there. And the book that you're talking about doing, I think will do that.
I hope so. I'm excited about it. I find sometimes that my excitement isn't always everybody else's excitement.
Funny how that goes.
And so it's you kind of pull yourself back a little bit, so you don't become overwhelming to some people. But yeah, so that's a project. That's a project near and dear to my heart that I really want to see come to fruition. But also, just again going back, so. In 2002, the club actually withdrew from the state federation because it found it lacked the time to dedicate to the state anymore.
It's true. We did too.
The women were out in the workforce. Women have evolved in a very good way, but it's been a hard road. They say they still have to do what they always did. Some of us are lucky enough to have a great husband who helps.
Right, that's true.
We're a team. But some I find it's really hard.
You mean for them to come out, go to meetings, put time into doing fundraising and projects and being on program committee, do things on the committees. And yet at the same time, we're all saying we want to connect better.
Right.
And I think it's a wonderful way to connect with other people. In fact, about 15 years ago, I was a reporter for a regional newspaper, and I wrote something about our club saying and it was sort of about how if I hadn't been a member of the women's club, I would have lived in a town without friends for many, many years until the natural process of making friends had happened. Mm-hmm. But women's club became a core. Now, I think that's important for younger people, too. I hope so. So maybe, we always say we want to see younger women come in. I think that when we stress how friendly we can be mm-hmm. and how important it is just to connect for those few moments a month when we're all together, I think that will resonate with some people. So as we wind down, I wanted to ask you just a few more things. Like, why is the club so important to you right now? I can hear when you talk, you get so excited. I can see it in your voice. I can tell how much you really love it. Maybe not all the time. I know there are those moments when you're like everybody does who leads a club. Why am I doing this? But really, I can tell that you really care a lot about it. What would you like listeners to know about this? Why clubs are important, especially this one?
The funny thing is, I really don't, I have never done why am I doing this? Because I know why I'm doing it. But it is frustrating sometimes because, I said to somebody one time, how do you want, you want to fix things, but you have to want the people that you want to fix it for want you to fix it.
Such a riddle.
But I think it's really important, especially because of the deep roots of the club in the town. And I just, it's got a legacy that you hate to see just go away.
Right.
It's interesting bylaws. You look at many of us are having a real tug of war with the bylaws and the rituals of the women's club. I personally love to have traditions.
Yes.
I love traditions. I love the formality of the traditions, and I know there's quite a few women who still like that. But they're also willing to pivot because some of those things just don't fit anymship
You mean like the white gloves and everything?
The white gloves and the hats, yeah. But even some of the committees, we have a membership committee. Mm-hmm. We haven't taken it out of the bylaws, but we've kind of put it on hold because it ended up being usually one person trying to get other people to join. And it's like, we're all stewards of the club. We can all ask somebody to join.
Very good point.
And so that's kind of on hold right now. We're not getting rid of it, but we've rewritten the bylaws a couple times in the last 10, 15 years to try to come up to date with things. But I do think it's important. I think it's important for women to get together like that. Just you learn things. It's also a great way to learn about what's going on in town.
Oh, that is true. So we do make the social part just as long as the business part, right?
Exactly.
So that we can all get that information about what's going on.
Right. But the one thing I did find in going through the archives for this podcast was there was a period of time after World War II, things settled, and the record keeping wasn't as brilliant as it was before. And so it's something still, luckily we had a discussion at one meeting and our regular secretary was gone. And so another woman volunteered to take the notes. She did a marvelous job because she brought up a question and I said, well, let me look back and see. And she was the one who took the notes. And I went, well, you wrote it right here.
Oh my gosh.
And she was like, oh. And it's like, but that tells how important it is to keep really good records.
Exactly. We need to remember history, even if it's for a women's club, because what does it tell us? It tells us it's a little slice of time. I like to think about in 100 years, should we all still be around, will somebody go back and read that book that you're trying to put together about club members? Will people go back and say, imagine that, they wore hats to a Saturday afternoon meeting. What was that like? We're creating history by being part of our clubs.
Well, and it's interesting, too. The press used to cover the clubs.
Really?
The newspaper had a reporter that would be at the meetings, and it would be in the news. If you look through our archives, there's a bunch of newspaper articles about meetings.
We need to dig those up and read some of those sometime.
They're really cool.
Well, I would hope that our clubs continue to do that and that the media find us really important. I know they do cover things that we do, but they don't come to our meetings. We have to send it
And
out.
it's not, there used to be the printed paper,
Sure.
and everybody
No.
looked forward to getting it, and
That
again,
doesn't happen
times are changing.
anymore. So we're going to have to say goodbye, but what would you like listeners to take away from this?
I think I would like them to, the takeaway to be, don't be afraid to reach out and give us a call and or whatever, and join our club. We would love new members. We would love new ideas, and it's really a great club, as I'm sure Deerfield is.
Well, let me tell you about our club. No, at that moment, I wanted to say I would like to reach across that beautiful blue bridge that connects us and invite your club to our first meeting, our September meeting. It's a potluck. Can you imagine all the food there'll be if your club comes and our club is there? Oh, my God, we'll have such a feast. Would love to do a little bit more with your club. We want to stay separate, but would also like to be friendly.
I think that sounds fine.
Let's try to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I love the idea of sharing our histories, too. We can talk about that. We want to go out and have coffee, and maybe we can chat a little bit more.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Let's talk about some things we can do together. I have some ideas.
Okay.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks, Denise.
See you in September.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This concludes today's podcast. We're always looking for new ideas, so feel free to reach out to Judy Raper, Associate Dean of Community Engagement at Greenfield Community College, at 413-775-1819 if you have an idea you'd love to share. Special thanks to the creators of Backyard OASIS, Denise Schwartz, Chad Fuller, Dennis Lee, and Christine Copeland. Have a great day.